very devout in this. I mean, they're very religious. I asked about truth, and I've said that most people aren't actually looking for truth; they're looking for acceptance through doctrine, you know. And of course, somebody jumps up and says, "Well, what they're looking for is false doctrine." But I'm like, a religious answer.
And King James was in a political pinch. King James had 4 dozen scribes that he contracted to write the King James Bible, and they needed to craft it in such a way that gave him political prowess. He did not want to lose his political posture. And so that Bible was written in such a way that allowed the church and the state together, this is back when the church and state were one, allowed the church and the state to control the people. And they were very vested in the narrative going a particular way. And that is when we saw homosexuality come into the text. So, like I said, the Bible by George Lamsa will give you a clean translation from Aramaic to English, which is great. But the other tools that I'm introducing you to are really important if we're going to take this good gravy 1,243 page document and we're really going to understand 1,200 and some pages. We need the tools to understand it. And the tools have also been given to us so that we can study with the commentaries, so that we can study the idioms, and so that we can come into more of an understanding. Listen, in the West, we really think Taco Bell is Mexican food. But if you go to Mexico, that's not what they're serving. You are not going to get a gordita, okay? If you go in there talking about your chalupa, they're not going to receive that well. That means something very, very, very different in their culture. And it's not complimentary and it's not edible, okay? So we have gotten ourselves misunderstood. We've just misunderstood. And I encourage people that might be hearing this, kind of getting their buttons pushed and triggered. I encourage you to, number one, know that not I and not anyone else can make you believe something. So feel free to believe whatever you choose. That's the cool thing about belief. It's personal. Believe what you want to believe. The thing is if what you are is a seeker of truth, then you might have to break up your foundation, as you said earlier, Joshua. You might have to examine some of the cracks in the foundation of the belief and trust God. Because I love what you said. If you fill those cracks with truth, you still have foundation. There's not a problem. And that's the opportunity in reading the Aramaic text, in learning it from the Semitic view, and in really developing a process for yourself where you get to experience what Jesus was talking about. When he came and he said, "You're the descendants of God, you are the children, you are equal and joint heirs with me to the kingdom of heaven, which is at hand right now," he did something else too. He taught us to pray. The Lord's Prayer isn't just potent because it's a prayer. It was a breakthrough in that culture. It was revolutionary to tell modern, common, simple men, farmers and shepherds just out in the world, probably illiterate. Most of them would have been illiterate. He didn't tell them they couldn't access God because they were stupid and couldn't read. He told them God lived inside of them. He told them the kingdom of heaven was here. And to access it, you pray. You pray. You, me, I'm not a priest. That's okay. You're a child of God. You're not separated from your parent. You don't need to go get a lawyer to call your dad and say, "Can I go to a sleepover?" You just go right to your dad. And so Jesus was telling us, you can go straight to the Creator. You can go straight yourself, you simple person over there, you homeless, you addicted, you a liar, you a cheater, you a hard worker, you a poor person, you whatever you are, go straight to God and ask and say, "Your will be done in and through me. Provide for me. Keep me away from harm. Bless me. Let your kingdom come and your will be done on earth through me." activating the great I am. 1 John 4:4 says, my beloved children, you are overcomers because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And that's our privilege. That's our opportunity to be able to sit quietly, prayerfully, and say, God, lead me. In the Aramaic, when we say the will of God, it also means the strength of God. So it's let the will of God be done by the strength of God doing it. And for us, prayer, the word is slotha. It comes from the word sla, S-L-A. It means to set a trap. And so when we say prayer, we mean to set a trap for the mind of God, that we would have it for ourselves, that our thoughts, our views, how we see and hear and act would be governed by that God spirit. Milthit Allah, the mind of God became flesh and dwelt among us. And Jesus said, those of you who believe, you will do what I have done because I'm going to sit next to the Father. He's saying, look, me, Jesus, me, Joshua, I'm out. So all this fiery anointing that's coming through me, it's going to be 100% available. Want it? Have some. All you have to do is call for it. All you have to do is tune in. Some of us are old enough to remember you had to dial in and tune into a radio station. I'm one of those people. That's what we do spiritually. That's what we do spiritually. We tune in to that WGOD FM radio, right? We got to tune in to God. We've got to sit like Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane. God, you know what's going on. You know how I feel about it, but I'm asking for your will to be done, and by your strength that I can do it. And when we pray, when we tune in, when we receive the mind of God into ourselves, then we too, as Joshua of Nazareth, which Joshua? The Messiah, the anointed Joshua. Then we too, as Joshua of Nazareth, the anointed one, we can do what he did and greater if we'll only believe. And the thing I've learned, Joshua, is that people will believe they are a sinner, born of iniquity, bound for hell, before they're willing to believe they are the great I am incarnate. That's a real hard one for us to take. It's like this flesh has really talked us out of being a soul, and we really are a soul. There really is an essence in here that when this essence is done existing and I exhale for the last time, this will drop to the ground and be compost. But my spirit person is eternal. She is everlasting. And breath is returned to breath. And my hope is that people will really utilize this message to make a change in their lives, to let the transformation of their lives begin with the renewing of their mind, learning this.
Yeah, I've like we said before earlier, I'm a person with a lot of questions, and I like to ask people just to find out where their mindset is. And what I found, and I call it fishing on Facebook. I'll throw out a question out there. I know what I already believe. I don't need anybody's answers for me. I want people to know themselves. And I ask simple questions like, hey, what's more important in today's everyday life? The 3 days or the 3 years? You know what I'm talking about. The 3 days Jesus was on the cross or the 3 years he taught. And it's amazing how many people say the 3 days. It's like they forget about the 3 years that he taught, the lessons he taught. And I've explained to people, I'm like, getting to the King James Version of the Bible, even, it's in there multiple times how we are a spirit of God. We were made in God's image. Jesus said to love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your might, and just the like, love your neighbor as yourself. That means we're all three part of God. And then when his mother came knocking on the door, they said, are you going to go, answer your mother's at the door? He said, who's my mother? He starts naming, you're my mother, you're my brother, you're my sister. So he's saying we're all the same. It's very clear in there, but people, like you said, they just focus on their flesh and they focus on the deity, that they miss the point. They miss the whole lessons of everything. And it's upsetting because they're very devout in this. I mean, they're very religious. I asked about truth, and I've said that most people aren't actually looking for truth. They're looking for acceptance through doctrine, and of course, somebody jumps up and says, well, they're what they're looking for is false doctrine. But I'm like, a religious answer. I was expecting that, because it's like anything that is not what they say it is, it's false. I was like, no, now you're saying that I can't believe in this because nobody will accept me. Well, truth doesn't care who accepts you. Truth is truth. So you should take all information and decide with yourself, with your knowing, pray about it, whatever you do to come up with truth. Is this truth? And take out what will other people think. What is true to you? What makes the most sense? And we're in a culture now that it's obvious it's not about right and wrong. It's about uh, loyalty to party lines, loyalty to this, loyalty to that. I don't want to seem like I'm this. I'm like, that's why people say, oh no, Biden is the smartest president ever. I'm like, come on, it's just, or, that was the worst thing that's ever happened was January 6th. That's like 9/11, except worse, and people will literally say it simply because they don't care about truth. And I found out with Christianity, it's tenfold. It's and people will call things true just because of this. And I'm not, and I don't tell people they're wrong. It's not my place to say you're wrong about anything. I just want to do I have my opinions? Yes. Do I think people are wrong? Of course. But I'm not going to say it because who am I to say you're wrong? You can be right about everything. I can be completely false. I mean, Hillary Clinton might be a lizard person. I don't know, but I've been told that before. It's just, find your truth. And that's why I, enjoyed having you come here, because it provides something you don't hear around here. You would think, being in the Bible Belt, I would have even heard of the Aramaic Christian church, but I haven't. I felt like there should be. I was like, I understand that. I mean, if I told you, it's in the back 40, if you're not from here, you may have no idea what I'm talking about. You're like, 40. When you figured out I'm talking about 40 acres, you're like, well, why would it be in the back of the 40 acres? No, it's just way back there. You get, that's all it means. It's the culture, the context. We are a culture also. People say up north, and when I was in Wyoming, they said kitty corner instead of catty corner. You go further east, they'll say brush hog instead of bush hog, or vice versa. I don't know. Now I'm confused because I've met some people that say that now. But that's just the way it is. And it's important to know context of things, because I hear people using, just in the King James version, again, that's the only version that I grew up around, they'll say things, and even I know it's out of context, simply because one, that was talking about Jericho's walls. It's not talking about your situation. Jericho's walls come down, yeah, but this may be destined to stay up, and it needs to be, but people will take something and call it their own when it wasn't talking about them. It wasn't referencing them. I mean, people
Oh
don't
boy.
understand. It's so confusing and disturbing, because people will gamble their whole, I'm not going to say eternity, because I don't think it affects their eternity. I think it affects their life here. They'll spend their whole life. And I've met way too many people that have said, I would rather believe in something and be wrong than to not believe in it and be wrong and then go to hell. I'm like, so you're literally saying your whole belief system is based on fear. I was like, now, I don't know about you, but when you and your spouse got married, and he was simply married because, he was scared that he would get hurt, or his family would get hurt, or something would hurt, and so he said yes to you, that wouldn't you doubt whether he actually loved you or not? I mean, you wouldn't know, because it was out of fear. God doesn't want us to follow him because we're scared of the devil. I honestly, I don't even think about that stuff. I don't care. I don't care about the devil. I don't care about the negative energies and stuff. And people are like, well, you should. They know about you. I'm like, we're stronger. It even says it. Why should I be scared of something that has no power on me? I walk outside. We have chickens. I'm not going to sit there and, duck and hide for the chickens. I just walk where I'm going to walk. They'll move. And that's the way it is. And so, I appreciate it. And I'll, if you can, send me the links and the books and everything, and I'll put it in the description below, so people can have access to it, because I'm very big about sourcing. That's why, like, I knew a lot of the stuff that you said simply because I've heard you say it, and I've looked for it myself and discovered it, but I'm not really good at sourcing things, and it's better to have an expert. I have a lot of questions. That doesn't mean I have the answers. Sorry,
Well,
there's a
I
delay.
would love to answer any more questions another time. Absolutely. You're welcome to send me a list of questions, and I'm happy to answer questions for you if anyone from your audience has questions. But I will definitely send you the link to the location where you can get all of these books in one place, and my email address as well, so that if anyone has questions, they can get in touch with me directly.
Thank you for sticking around till the end. Hopefully, I left you either enlightened, lightened, or moved by the experience. If you enjoyed what you saw, could you hit that like and subscribe button right there? And if you didn't, could you still hit that like and subscribe button right there so somebody else has the opportunity to not like what they saw? Thank you.